is Season 4 for The Witcher. Not looking good so far when it comes to the reviews. When it comes to the critics, right now they're at 55%. But when it comes to the fans, 19% on Rotten Tomatoes. Now,
I'm the most annoying guy on set because I'm saying, excuse me, you do realize that this should be happening and they wouldn't do that, and you haven't read this, that means this would be impossible. And everyone's just going, Henry, just shut up and do the thing. And I'm like, I don't want to do the thing because he wouldn't do it this way, and he can do it.
Yeah. And that's where you start to get more uncomfortable when you're thinking, there's not a performance.
Was posted last night. Netflix's Q2 report came out, and apparently they lost 1 million subscribers in the second quarter of this year, which we already saw that at the beginning of the year, they lost 200,000. The next month, they lost another couple 100,000, and they had projected that they were going to lose a couple million over the next few months. I don't really think people believed it, but it happened.
Millions of people are canceling their Netflix subscriptions. Why Netflix stock is absolutely tanking right now. I mean, it is just collapsing totally in the red. And you can see that it is on a massive downward slope this month. It's cratering. Why is that happening?
And you have a sense that you're going, is this really necessary?
It finally happened. After months of build-up, controversy, and cautious optimism, The Witcher Season 4 just dropped on Netflix. And within 48 hours, it's already turned into an absolute disaster.
We knew that Season 4 was going to be a disaster. We knew why Henry Cavill left. We knew because they had desecrated the lore and like everything that people love from the books, from the games. That's not what this TV show is about. In fact, it's about the activist showrunners and the activists at Netflix doing what they want with the character, regardless of whether that's in line with what everyone else loves.
The ratings? Savage. The audience reactions? Even worse. And now, to make things even more chaotic, Netflix has reportedly canceled the show entirely, only 2 days after release. But what really set the internet on fire wasn't just the cancellation itself, it was Liam Hemsworth's reaction.
Were you familiar with this, the Watcher before you, The Witcher?
The Witcher,
before
yeah.
you started?
I hadn't seen the TV show, and I hadn't read the book.
The new face of Geralt, the man Netflix chose to replace Henry Cavill, has apparently gone off after finding out about the show's collapse. Cryptic posts, angry interviews, and behind-the-scenes whispers are painting a picture of an actor who's finally lost his cool after being at the center of a storm he never saw coming. So how did we get here? How did one of Netflix's most promising fantasy series spiral into chaos, memes, and global backlash overnight? And is Liam Hemsworth the real villain here, or just the scapegoat for a decision that was doomed from the start?
What the f is this piece of sh**?
Let's rewind to where it all began, with one of the most controversial casting changes in streaming history. When Henry Cavill walked away from The Witcher after Season 3, fans didn't just lose an actor, they lost the heart of the entire series. Cavill was Geralt. From the gruff voice to the stoic presence, every frame felt like it came straight out of the pages of Sapkowski's novels or CD Projekt Red's game series. So when Netflix announced Liam Hemsworth would be stepping into the role, the internet practically exploded overnight. Memes, hate threads, and disbelief flooded social media. Hashtags like #NotMyGeralt and #Cavill was right trended for weeks. Fans accused Netflix of disrespecting the source material and ignoring the audience that made the show successful in the first place. To them, Cavill's departure wasn't just about creative differences, it was a red flag that something was fundamentally wrong behind the scenes. And the rumors didn't help. Reports leaked suggesting that Cavill had clashed with writers who didn't respect the lore. Some insiders even claimed that Cavill wanted to stay faithful to the books while Netflix wanted to make The Witcher more modern and accessible. When those details spread online, Netflix's credibility took a hit, and Liam's casting was caught right in the crossfire. Now, it's not that Liam Hemsworth didn't try. Early press interviews painted him as enthusiastic, humble, and ready to honor Cavill's legacy. He said things like, "I'm stepping into some big boots, but I can't wait for fans to see what we've created." But the problem was, no one wanted to see it. The fan base had already made up its mind. By the time the first teaser trailer dropped, the dislike ratio on YouTube was through the roof. Comment sections were flooded with lines like, "They turned Geralt into a parody," and "Netflix just can't stop ruining good things." And while Netflix tried to control the narrative, pushing positive PR pieces and behind-the-scenes clips of Liam training with swords, the damage was already done. So when October 30th finally arrived and The Witcher Season 4 went live, the audience didn't show up to give it a chance. They showed up with pitchforks, ready to prove Netflix wrong. But no one, not even Netflix, expected how quickly that plan would backfire. From the moment The Witcher Season 4 hit Netflix, it was chaos. Within hours, social media was overflowing with clips roasting everything from the dialogue to the visual effects. Fans were sharing side-by-side comparisons between Liam's Geralt and Henry's, pointing out how the charisma, depth, and presence just weren't there. Some even called it the CW version of The Witcher, saying it felt like a cheap imitation of what once was. Critics weren't any kinder. Within a single day, Rotten Tomatoes had the audience score plummeting below 20%. Review headlines read like obituaries. The Witcher loses its soul. Netflix's fantasy risk crashes and burns, and Hemsworth's debut as Geralt is painfully awkward. On Reddit, threads with thousands of upvotes were filled with comments like, "I tried to give it a chance, but I couldn't get through episode 2. Even casual viewers, people who weren't hardcore fans of the books or games, noticed something was off. The pacing felt rushed, the chemistry between characters was gone, and the world that once felt gritty and immersive now looked like a washed-out imitation of its former self. The magic was gone. And then came the numbers. Reports started leaking from entertainment insiders claiming that The Witcher Season 4 had one of Netflix's lowest completion rates for a major series launch in years. Most viewers apparently didn't even finish the first episode. By day 2, the show had already dropped out of the platform's top 10, a life sentence for a franchise that once stood shoulder to shoulder with giants like Stranger Things and The Crown. Netflix had poured millions into marketing this season, banking on controversy to fuel curiosity, but instead it fueled outrage. Twitter was flooded with memes like, "Geralt looks like he's cosplaying himself," and "This isn't The Witcher, it's The Wisher." Savage, viral, and non-stop. Even Henry Cavill's old clips resurfaced, interviews where he passionately defended the source material, subtly hinting at his creative frustrations. Fans reposted those moments with captions like, "He tried to warn us." By the end of the second day, the damage was irreversible. The Witcher's audience had turned into an army of critics, and every attempt Netflix made to spin the narrative only made things worse. And that's when the news broke, quietly, almost suspiciously, that Netflix had decided to cancel The Witcher Season 4 effective immediately. The fantasy epic that once promised 7 seasons had been reduced to ashes in less than 48 hours. And for Liam Hemsworth, this wasn't just another professional setback, it was the public insult of a lifetime, because what he did next would shock everyone. When Netflix cancels a show, it's usually a slow process, months of quiet decline before the official statement drops. But this time, it was different. It felt sudden, almost desperate. Just 2 days after The Witcher Season 4 hit the platform, entertainment insiders started posting leaks on X and Reddit claiming that Netflix had halted production on future episodes. Within hours, the rumor turned into reality. Netflix released a vague press statement thanking the cast and crew for their dedication and hard work, and promising that The Witcher universe will continue in new and exciting ways. To most people, that sounded like corporate code for "it's over." The reaction online was explosive. Fans couldn't believe how fast Netflix had pulled the trigger. Comment sections filled up with messages like, "Even Netflix couldn't pretend to like this mess," and "They canceled it faster than I could cancel my subscription." And what made it worse was how quiet the cast and crew were. Normally, when a big show ends, you see emotional posts, goodbye messages, tributes to fans. This time, radio silence. No one said a word. Not the writers, not the directors, and definitely not Liam Hemsworth. Behind the scenes, however, reports started leaking that the mood on set had been tense for months. According to one anonymous crew member, everyone knew this season wasn't working. Even during filming, it felt off, like everyone was just going through the motions. Netflix executives apparently panicked after early test screenings scored poorly, but they pushed forward anyway, hoping the fan base would adjust once the show aired. That risk backfired in record time. Insiders claimed that Netflix's internal analytics, the same ones that determine whether a show lives or not, showed an alarming drop-off in viewer retention after just 15 minutes into episode 1. For a platform obsessed with data, that was all the proof they needed. So while fans were still arguing online about whether Liam was being treated fairly or not, the decision had already been made. The Witcher was done. But the real story wasn't just about the cancellation. It was about what came next. Because as Netflix tried to quietly bury the news under other releases, one person refused to stay silent: Liam Hemsworth. And when he finally broke that silence, the internet stopped what it was doing, because no one expected what he was about to say. At first, Liam kept quiet. For nearly 24 hours after the cancellation announcement, he said nothing. No statement, no post, nothing. Fans assumed he was too embarrassed, that maybe he was hiding out, waiting for the outrage to fade away. But then, out of nowhere, it happened. A cryptic post appeared on his Instagram story. Just a black background with a short message. "Some of us gave everything. Some just gave up." The internet erupted. Within minutes, screenshots were everywhere. Fans started dissecting the line like it was a prophecy. Was he taking a shot at Netflix, the writers, maybe even the audience? Hours later, Liam followed up with a longer message. He wrote, "I knew stepping into this role would come with pressure, but I believed in this project. I believed in Geralt. I believed fans deserved more than recycled drama and cheap clicks." Unfortunately, not everyone shared that belief. Boom. That was it, the spark that lit a firestorm. Entertainment outlets jumped on it instantly, running headlines like "Liam Hemsworth blasts Netflix after Witcher cancellation," and "Liam fires back at bad fan culture." He went from being the quiet replacement to the loudest voice in the room, and not in a good way. The response was savage. Fans flooded his social media with comments accusing him of shifting blame, calling him delusional and out of touch. Others roasted his performance, saying things like, "Bro, it wasn't bad, fans. It was bad acting." acting. Even worse, anonymous sources close to the production leaked more details. Apparently, Liam had grown frustrated months before release, clashing with directors over script changes and complaining about how much of Geralt's personality had been rewritten. One insider claimed he wanted to make the character more grounded, but the producers kept dumbing it down. He felt trapped. That frustration reportedly exploded after Netflix's cancellation, with one person saying Liam completely lost it when he found out the show had been axed. He went off in a meeting. He said he felt betrayed. He blamed everyone, from the writers to marketing, for not giving the show a real chance. By the next morning, Liam's PR team had gone into overdrive, trying to do damage control. The Instagram post vanished. His rep released a watered-down statement thanking the fans for their support and saying he was grateful for the opportunity. But by then, it was too late. The internet never forgets. Clips of him speaking about bad fan culture went viral, edited alongside scenes from the show with roasting captions like, "Maybe the fans weren't the problem, mate." And what really stung? Henry Cavill fans started resurfacing old interviews where Henry subtly warned about the creative direction of The Witcher. His words suddenly felt prophetic. "If I ever feel like the story isn't honoring the source, I'll have to walk away." That quote alone hit millions of views again. In the eyes of the audience, Cavill had left with integrity and Liam had stayed for a paycheck. Whether that was fair or not didn't matter anymore. The internet had chosen its villain. And as the smoke settled, Liam Hemsworth went from Hollywood's next big fantasy star to the man blamed for destroying one of Netflix's biggest shows. But this story wasn't over yet, because the backlash against Liam wasn't just destroying his reputation, it was starting to affect Netflix itself. If Netflix thought canceling The Witcher would calm the storm, they couldn't have been more wrong. The cancellation didn't silence the fans, it ignited them. Overnight, social media transformed into a battlefield. Reddit threads were on fire. YouTube channels that had defended the show in the past suddenly flipped, posting savage reviews with titles like The Witcher 4, The Final Betrayal, and Netflix finally destroyed it. And right at the center of it all, Liam Hemsworth. Clips of his emotional Instagram posts were circulating non-stop. Every word he'd said about bad fans was being dissected frame by frame. Fans who had grown up idolizing Henry Cavill as Geralt took it personally. They saw Liam's comments as an attack. They felt blamed for something they believed Netflix had caused. Meme pages had a field day. One viral tweet read, "Liam Hemsworth blaming fans is like the chef blaming the customers for the food poisoning." Another said, "The Witcher finished the moment Cavill left." Liam just buried the body savage. But that's how fast the internet moves. One misstep and you're done. Fan-made videos comparing Cavill and Hemsworth started dominating TikTok's algorithm. Side-by-sides of their fight scenes, dialogue delivery, and even facial expressions. And in almost every comment section, the verdict was the same. Cavill had presence. Liam's just there. Even entertainment journalists started piling on. Think pieces with headlines like "Why replacing Cavill was Netflix's biggest mistake" flooded feeds. Industry insiders began to speculate that Netflix had underestimated just how loyal Cavill's fanbase really was, and how replacing him with anyone, even a big name like Liam Hemsworth, was a recipe for disaster. What made things worse was how Liam handled the pressure. Instead of going quiet and letting the controversy fade, he reportedly vented privately to people close to him. And those private conversations somehow found their way online. One supposed leak claimed Liam had said, "It's funny how people pretend they care about the source material, but all they really want is a guy with muscles and a British accent." Whether he actually said it or not didn't matter. The damage was done. Screenshots spread faster than wildfire, and fans treated it as confirmation that he never respected the role. Within days, hashtags like #FireLiamHemsworth and #JusticeForGeralt were trending worldwide. Fan pages that once hyped up the series started posting nostalgic montages of Cavill's best moments, with captions like "The real Witcher finished in Season 3. Even Liam's past interviews started resurfacing. Clips of him joking awkwardly about never playing video games or not knowing much about The Witcher before joining the cast. Fans twisted those into proof that he didn't care. It was a full-blown digital takedown. And while Liam's image was burning, Netflix wasn't escaping unscathed either. Because as fans kept tearing into him, the question started shifting from "Why was Liam so bad?" to "Why did Netflix do this in the first place?" And that's when things started to unravel for Netflix itself. The morning after the cancellation, Netflix's stock didn't crash, but it dipped just enough to make headlines. Analysts began connecting the dots between the company's pattern of risky creative decisions and the growing loss of viewer trust. It wasn't just about The Witcher, it was about the bigger picture. For years, Netflix had been building a reputation for greenlighting massive projects, hyping them up, and then abandoning them after 1 or 2 seasons. But The Witcher was supposed to be different. It was their crown jewel, their Game of Thrones, a dark fantasy saga with global recognition and a loyal fanbase. And now it was a joke. Industry insiders called it Netflix's biggest self-inflicted wound. One entertainment analyst wrote, "You don't replace your lead actor, especially one like Henry Cavill, unless you're absolutely certain the audience will follow." Netflix risked and they lost spectacularly. Subscribers started making noise too. Some posted screenshots of canceled subscriptions, captioned with things like, "You canceled Geralt, I'm canceling you." Others roasted the platform for spending millions to ruin their best show. Behind closed doors, reports claimed Netflix executives were scrambling. Meetings were being held to figure out how to salvage the Witcher brand. Spin-offs were suddenly under review, marketing campaigns paused, and certain staff members allegedly reassigned. The company was trying to contain a wildfire that had already burned through its reputation. Even actors from other Netflix originals subtly threw shade. One star reportedly posted a story saying, "Maybe stop rewriting everything people love just to make it trendier." Fans instantly interpreted it as a jab at the Witcher fiasco. To make things worse, the backlash began spilling into mainstream culture. Late-night hosts cracked jokes about the cancellation. Memes comparing Netflix to a cursed king who destroys every kingdom it touches went viral. And streaming competitors, like Amazon with the Rings of Power, quietly celebrated the chaos, subtly reminding viewers that their fantasy epics were still alive and well. The once mighty Witcher brand, which had spawned merchandise, spin-offs, and even video game tie-ins, was suddenly radioactive. No one wanted to touch it. And Liam, he was caught in the crossfire. Because no matter how much Netflix tried to take the blame publicly, the internet had already fused their fates together. The downfall of The Witcher was the downfall of Liam Hemsworth. The story that began with excitement, fan theories, and billion-dollar potential had ended with a canceled show, a furious actor, and a company scrambling to clean up the mess. But the craziest part? Behind the scenes, rumors were already spreading that Netflix wasn't done, that the platform might be secretly planning a reboot, a new Geralt, a second chance. And if that's true, well, Liam Hemsworth's meltdown might have been just the beginning of something even darker. For weeks, the internet believed The Witcher 4 collapsed because of bad acting, angry fans, and Netflix's impulsive decision-making. But the truth? It ran much deeper than that. Behind closed doors, The Witcher had been a creative battlefield long before Henry Cavill walked away. Leaked production documents, and anonymous crew statements began surfacing online, revealing just how chaotic things had gotten. Writers were reportedly rewriting full episodes weeks before filming. Directors kept changing the tone. Some wanted dark fantasy, others wanted light-hearted adventure. The show didn't know what it was anymore. And the biggest issue? Nobody agreed on what made The Witcher special in the first place. Henry Cavill had always been a purist. He wanted the series to stay faithful to Andrzej Sapkowski's original novels, the gritty, mature world that fans loved. But after his departure, sources claimed the creative team wanted to modernize the story. They shifted the tone, simplified dialogue, and even cut lore-heavy scenes to make the series more accessible. That decision backfired spectacularly. Fans didn't want accessible. They wanted authentic. By the time Liam Hemsworth joined, the foundation was already cracked. He wasn't stepping into Cavill's shoes. He was stepping into a sinking ship. Yet Netflix's marketing machine acted like everything was fine, promising that Liam would bring a bold new energy to Geralt. But that promise became a curse. Leaked footage from test screenings revealed that early viewers were confused. They said the story felt disjointed, the tone inconsistent, and Geralt's personality completely rewritten. Even Liam reportedly noticed. Sources close to the actor claimed he tried to push back, asking for rewrites that would bring Geralt closer to the original books. But executives dismissed his concerns, saying they needed a fresh direction. And then came the final blow: internal pressure to rush the release. Instead of delaying to fix issues, Netflix allegedly forced production to meet the October 30th deadline, hoping to cash in on Halloween hype. The result? A rushed, uneven product that fans instantly rejected. In the end, The Witcher 4 wasn't just canceled because of bad reviews. It was canceled because no one behind the scenes was fighting for the same vision. Netflix wanted numbers. The writers wanted validation. Liam wanted redemption. But the fans? They wanted the story they were promised. And when all those worlds collided, it wasn't just a show that finished. It was trust. But for Liam Hemsworth, the damage didn't end there. Because as The Witcher burned, his reputation and career began to collapse with it. For a while, Liam tried to play it cool. His team pushed out soft interviews, tried to shift the narrative, even leaked a few stories about new roles in development. But Hollywood moves fast, and once a name becomes radioactive, the offers stop coming. Reports started circulating that several studios quietly backed out of negotiations. One insider claimed that after the Witcher controversy, no one wanted the drama. His name had become synonymous with failure, and worse, with arrogance. Online, fans weren't forgiving either. Every new photo or interview clip he posted was flooded with sarcastic comments. So, how's that Witcher reboot going? Maybe Geralt should have used a PR spell. Even fan conventions, while once filled with cheers and excitement, turned awkward. During one recent panel appearance, Liam was asked point blank if he regretted taking the role. His answer was calm, but you could hear the exhaustion in his voice. "I don't regret it. I regret how it ended." That clip went viral, not because of what he said, but because of how defeated he looked. The internet that once roasted him suddenly felt a bit of sympathy. People started realizing that maybe he wasn't the villain. Maybe he was just another casualty of Netflix's chaos. Still, the damage was irreversible. Casting directors began second-guessing his bankability. PR insiders claimed that his management advised him to lay low for at least a year, focusing on low-profile indie projects instead of blockbusters. Meanwhile, Henry Cavill's career was thriving. He'd moved on to new roles, including his passion project, a Warhammer series, and fans treated him like the hero who escaped before the storm hit. The contrast couldn't have been sharper. Cavill ascended while Liam was left standing in the ashes. In the months following the cancellation, the Witcher 4 controversy became a case study in Hollywood, a warning about the dangers of underestimating fan loyalty and mishandling creative direction. Industry commentators summed it up best. It wasn't Liam's fault alone. He was set up to fail. But when the audience loses faith, it doesn't matter who's holding the sword. The legend goes with it. As time went on, the noise began to fade. The hashtags slowed down. Netflix quietly removed The Witcher 4 from its homepage, and the platform moved on to its next big release. But the legacy of that disaster, the backlash, the outrage, the memes, would never truly disappear. And as for Liam Hemsworth, he became a reminder of how fast Hollywood can turn. One day, you're the next big star. The next, you're the face of a canceled dream. Because in the world of streaming, fame is temporary, but failure, that's forever.